She scares me to death on the stairs, but I'll get over it. Very nicely done, Jessica. Thank you. I have this long introduction for the commencement speaker, but I don't think I can use it. Dr. William Cassidy I've known for many years, and he was involved in several things that have been instrumental in your life. He served in the Department of Education as the Associate Commissioner and was in that role at the time that the Vocational Technical Institute system separated from the Department of Education and created its own system. He was influential in making that move. He was influential in changing the role of vocational education in the state of Maine when he served as the director of the Technical Center in Waterville. As you know, vocational education for many years took a back seat to any other programs, and that has changed. Much of that credit goes to Dr. Cassidy and his colleagues who felt there was a better role for technical education in the state of Maine, and he pursued that. He's a Paul Harris Fellow recipient. He's a 7-star award recipient from the National Guard. He's a dear friend and colleague. He served as the president at Washington County Community College in 2 terms. To give you some idea of his commitment to education, once he had retired from that position, they needed help, and he went back, gave up his time, gave up his wife's time to support the institution. The passion that he has for what he does has made him successful. He has all of the academic credentials you would need to do any job you want to do in education. But what's made him successful is his passion, his commitment to students, and his willingness to have a greater dream for what education can be. It's my distinct pleasure today to introduce to you Dr. William Cassidy.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. President Crowley, thank you very much. I have to deviate for a moment, if you will, and that's always dangerous for me. And these occasions, this is where my wife gets extremely nervous. I was listening to this fine gentleman stand up here this day and recognize so many others. You've ever heard the song that was sung many years ago, I think by Bette Midler, that's something in their essence about standing in the shadows so others might shine? Ladies and gentlemen, this institution and all the wonderful things it has done, is doing, and will do, it permeates across the institution, first and foremost with the students, certainly faculty and staff, but also, too, with leadership, the administration. This young man who just introduced me, I know well his family. His dad, 96 or 7 years old this day, started the dialogue in the Department of Education and the state legislature to move the then VTI system out of the department and into its own, to what we know today as the Maine Community College system. It grew from about 3,000 students to 18,000 students enrolled today in a little over a decade. This is the home from which this young man started his beginnings. His family, his brother, longtime dean at Eastern Maine Community College. This man in secondary education and this institution as a dean, and now as its president. He's the one I speak about standing in the shadows. Never been one to take a bow. Ladies and gentlemen, it humbles me to have that fine man speak well of me. He's a dear friend, a colleague, and somebody I respect very much. President Crowley, thank you, sir, for what you do for all of us. I hadn't noticed in his introduction of myself, we have many like experiences, backgrounds, and credentials. Similarly, we're also very much alike in other ways. We're both men of great vertical stature. We both have brown hair. We both are of the Irish persuasion. And we both are rather handsome gentlemen. Well, at least one of us is. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't do this. He'd be disappointed if I didn't. By the way, choral, thank you so very much. What a wonderful rendition of our friends and neighbors, the Canadian national anthem and our national anthem. Fantastic. I've never heard it done any more beautifully. Thank you. Unfortunately, there's an upside and a downside to most things in life, and the downside is Dean Egler. While playing, he was also singing. Ladies and gentlemen, Father John Scahill used to say during Mass when hymns were sung, if God gave you a bad voice, sing to get even. Dean Egler, I would only suggest to you that even God has a limited patience. As a matter of fact, Sister Damien told me once, Billy, just mouth the words, you're a placeholder. Jessica Leahy, thank you, my young friend. What a wonderful job, and you truly are an inspiration for all of us in this institution. But I spoke about it a moment ago. You all today represent 18,000 students enrolled at our institutions, from 17 to 18-year-olds to 66 and plus and beyond year-old students in this wonderful institution we call the community college system. You are well representing that body of 18,000. The stories that we heard about Jessica, we could repeat in this room multiple times and elsewhere across the system. The Maine Community College system is a wonderful gem and a wonderful asset to the citizens in the state of Maine. Now my task and to my duty. Much of what I say, you're going to hear somewhat of a repeat of what you've heard before, those before me. And oh, by the way, I had a colleague, Professor David Rowe, Professor Emeritus at Washington Community College, used to say to me, when we shared an office together as I was a young faculty member in Calais, Billy, I'm going to give you the secret to education right now. I said, David, what's that? As a good faculty member, what you want to do is repeat, repeat, repeat. So some of what you hear will be a repetition of what you heard. And I said, David, why would you do that? He said, well, Bill, maybe some of it will stick. And I'm not oblivious to the fact that for most of us, we don't remember what any commencement speaker ever said of us. And I don't suspect you'll do anything different today, but I will hope that maybe a theme is emerging in your mind that has been there, and maybe you'll advance that theme when you leave this institution this day. As a member of the Maine Community College Trustees, and an honor to be, I need to recognize the credential you'll receive today as a symbol of your success and your accomplishments. They're a testimony not only to your desire and intelligence, but also to the skills and support of the faculty and staff of this fine college. I think about, and as I spoke with Dean Egler just the other day, I think of Tammy Nelson, Director of Student Counseling. Many of us, when we come to this institution and go out through life, bring our burdens with us. For some of us, they may seem rather mundane or light. For others of us, they're very significant. Well, you know what? Tammy Nelson is there, her and her colleagues, door always open to listen, to lend an ear, and try to help us resolve our own issues and find answers and solutions to what we do. An example of an individual in this institution that serves you well. Holly Pelkey, resident director. You know, as a parent, when we send our child off to higher education in a residence hall environment, we want them to first and foremost to be safe. We want them to be first and foremost understanding that somebody is there for them if they need them. Holly Pelkey, thank you very much for doing that job at this institution with your colleagues. As a matter of fact, by chance, her husband, Brian, graduates the nursing program today. Congratulations to you and your household this day. Al St. Peter, 25 years of service in the institution, 33 odd years. Al, I had a chance to talk to prior to today. Al said to me, Bill, when I started teaching, I loved it, and it wasn't too long I'd have students come in and say to me, you had my father in class. He said, yeah, I did. He said, the first student that walked in and said, you had my grandfather, he said, I decided it's time, I'm out of here. Al, thank you. Also in Rotary, there's a code or a creed that says, one of the principles of Rotary is it the truth and will it be fair to all concerned? Will it be good and beneficial to all concerned? If you haven't figured it out, sometimes I don't live by that creed. I'll tell you when it's the truth. There are others also who served you well in this institution. They have been recognized. I said it a moment ago and I meant it. I have been so blessed in 38 years in education in different capacities to work with a wonderful group of educators, none of which can ever exceed or meet the capacity of those persons that I serve with in the Maine Community College system. And I can tell you this day, those people to my right and around this fringe today who work here every day and will begin their work in earnest Monday morning to improve and enhance the life, living opportunities that the students that have at this facility are over here. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, it's no small event or no small wonder. Let's give them a standing ovation for what they do. It truly is an honor. Thank you. As was recognized here today as well, many others in your life, your parents, Those are the ones who maybe cuddled you when you fell off your bike on your first solo ride, held and supported and counseled you. We need to recognize and thank them, as I already have been, and I hope you will this day when you leave here. Also, we need to recognize and thank those others in your life, your wives, your spouses, your partners, your brothers, your sisters, your children, as was said. Please do recognize them, for again, each one of them had a stake and was on this journey with you. Please do not let them know, or please do let them know, you recognize that, appreciate it, and applaud them for that. Sometimes as a parent, it's not easy to say no, but sometimes as a parent we have to, or as a friend who counsels you and's been that friendly ear when you couldn't talk to others, to say no, or maybe you ought to rethink on, or what would Dad do? Not easy as a parent to do it. My own daughter, after repeatedly saying no on some request she had of me, she stood up as tall as she could, a strapping 5'1". To me, that's short. Looked me right in the eye and said, "Dad, you're zero fun," and walked away. Well, you know what? Sometimes being a parent is zero fun, and even as a friend, it's zero fun to have to tell what you really believe in your heart is better for you. Listen to your family, listen to your friends and their counsel. My life, the greatest person ever that I can think about, and you could say same of yours or others, I'm sure, is my dad, and I love my mom equally as well. But in my life to this day, at 60-something years of age, if I reach a crossroad where I don't quite know what to do, I often sit down and ask myself for 30 seconds, what would Dad do? I ask you to do same. Go to a person that you greatly respect and solicit their advice and counsel to help you make difficult decisions along the way. For me personally, it is truly wonderful to be here this day. It was 44 years ago that I graduated from this fine institution, then known as NMVTI. I have to be honest now, there were times during my journey that my completion was suspect or in question. As a matter of fact, you won't see my name on the dean's list. By the way, those of you who are honors students, congratulations. Some of you high honors, 3.9, 4.0 averages, 3.2, no big deal. If you add up 2 of my semesters, I must have had a 3.0. So don't try to impress me with your academic prowess. Also, though, truth and disclosure, I was in the shadows. As a young man, attending a little Catholic school in down East Maine, by the way, me and my 3 brothers sent more nuns to retirement than anyone could ever think of. Brother Vinton and I, Sister Mary Agony and her sister, Sister Mary Payne, would say William and Vinton up front, one right, one left. I always sat on her left side because when she swung, her right hand was stronger. So when she smucked me, it was a little less than what Brother Vinton. To this day, he doesn't know that, and I hope none of you will tell him. No, that's true. I wasn't a scholar and didn't believe that I was. As a matter of fact, I didn't see higher education in my future, but I had parents that would see nothing else or otherwise and allowed us to how you will go on to higher education, William. I remember, though, sitting in that Catholic school Friday spelling test. You know, remember the spelling test that when you had X numbers of words and you had a bonus question? Mary Casey, I sat behind Mary. I don't like Mary today. They'd go out and Sister Mary Agony would say, scores, Mary Casey, 110. She got both bonuses. Billy Cassidy, I'd whisper 60. That's who I was. And I wasn't building a whole lot of confidence in school and believing I could succeed. But even with that, I had parents that said I will go forward and go to college. I went to the University of Maine with Chias in 1967. Upon arriving at the institution, I thought, hey, this ain't so bad. I get to play basketball and meet new girls. Well, truth and disclosure, December 15, 1967, the academic dean and the dean of student affairs called me to their office, Dean Ostrander and Deke Reynolds. And I thought, this can't be good. I walked in, it was the end of the semester, and I said, so what did I do or what did you find out about? Well, they said, William, we don't think you got your priorities right. You're not here to play basketball and chase that young Compton girl. We think you need to take a semester off. It was February in 1968 as I was doing push-ups in the onion fields at the University of Fort Leonard Wood that I realized these were 2 wise men. So I left Fort Leonard Wood. I returned to Maine. I then returned to higher education at Northern Maine Vocational Technical Institute. I, like you, and I'm sure it's been said here, and many of you can repeat it, when I arrived here, I found a community Not that Machias wasn't. I wasn't ready. And I didn't take advantage. I was afraid to step out and solicit and ask for help. But when I arrived here, I had faculty and staff from across the institution and many peer students that stepped up and helped me, many study buddies. And all of a sudden I did realize I did have the potential. I just needed some help, and I found that here at this institution. And I've never forgotten it and very much appreciated it. Oh, by the way, back to UMM. Okay, shortly thereafter I gave up hoping the Celtics would ever call. But August 20th of this year, that Compton girl will have been my bride for 44. I'd like to introduce my lovely bride to you. Susan, please stand. By the way, every time I give an address, she'll beg me, please don't tell the Machias story. I can't help it. I figured after 44 years, what's she gonna do? You know, many of you who came to this institution for all kinds of reasons, some by happenstance. Chris Haas, where are you, Christopher? Christopher. He and I had an occasion to have a brief conversation in the halls of the motel this morning, and I asked Chris how he arrived here. He visited the institution, felt very comfortable right out of the gate, has felt very fine about the education he received at this institution. And you're going to work for Chadwick Bay Ross, is that correct when you leave here? He's from New Hampshire, and he'll be returning to New Hampshire, but you understand that Chadwick Bay Ross is also in Maine as well, correct? We expect to see you back, young man. Congratulations, and thank you. By the way, I said to him, you know, I graduated from Northern Maine Community College a year or two. He chuckled. I said, okay, my hair gave me away, right? It wasn't recently. You were very gentlemanly about it. You only laughed when you got away from me. Thank you. All right. For many of you seated here today, you've met expectations far beyond your belief, as I did as well. As a matter of fact, I had one of my brothers say to me one day, not that many years ago, Billy, you're the classic overachiever. If you look that up in the dictionary, what it means is I've done things that others wouldn't have expected of myself, or I wouldn't have expected of myself. Now, I might have taken that as an insult, but it didn't. He meant well. Point being, I didn't think I was an overachiever. I was just in there duking it out. And by God, I won the fight. I won the round. And I hope that you recognize that of yourself. You are not an overachiever. There's more great opportunity before you, and I hope you'll pursue it. Also, you are role models for others in your life. I look at some of the little munchkins running around here this day, and one lady said to me, I'll try to keep my little one quiet. I said, not to worry, if you haven't figured it out, I can yell louder than they can. The truth is, many of you are role models for others in your family, maybe siblings, maybe little brothers or sisters, maybe a friend or a neighbor. Please do what you can do to help them proceed and pursue further education. Also, I know I'm only a guest at this momentous occasion in your life, but as a good host, I know you want to do to make me feel as comfortable as you can as a guest in your home. With that, then I have a request of you. The same request I have shared with my students throughout the years, not only as president of Washington County Community College. I ask you this, please, if at all possible, don't leave this beautiful region you call home, where you have family and many good friends. We need you to stay here, using your knowledge and skills to enhance our economy and our communities, to help make this region of our state even better than it is now. If you find it necessary to leave here for a pursuit of further education or employment or even adventures, then in your absence, do anything that you can from afar to support your community. Lastly, please do come home often, and maybe even one day return to live and work. It took me 23 years to get home, and that saddened me. I hope it won't take you 23 years to return. I have a request like everyone else here this day. I now have a charge and a challenge. I ask you this. I think it was said in President Crowley's remarks somewhat as well. Practice simple acts of kindness. I'm talking about opening that door for the little white-haired president as he approaches to come through it. I'm talking about when you go down the street and see an elder shoveling their walk or the end of their driveway, stop. Finish it for them. The rewards and thanks that you get will warm the cockles of your heart. And by the way, I'll give you my address if you like. As was done here today, some of you as graduates and some who are not. If you happen to find yourself in the local market, the Walmart, McDonald's, and you see an individual, woman or man, get out of a vehicle that's got a veteran's plate, that they've got a veteran's hat on or a pin, do me a favor, and I don't care if you served or not. You do it as well. You approach that person and you say, thank you. Thank you for your service. Past, present, and those of you who may go on to serve in the future, to help keep this beautiful land as we know it, to allow us to live and do what we do every day. Don't ever forget the commitment. As that is said, some gave some gave all, and don't you ever forget it. In the slightest way you can recognize and support and thank a veteran, please do. Practice stewardship. Through community services was said here today, involve yourself however you can throughout your community. As was said in your church or synagogue, volunteer, coach a little league team, join a service club, Lioness or Rotary. Example, I picked on him today, but I also have to recognize him. Washington County Community College has conducted a polar dip for some 13 years now, raised over $250,000 to $70,000 for the Ronald McDonald's house and Sarah's house in Bangor, many of which are in this office, or excuse me, this auditorium today are familiar with, but we've had family and friends and maybe ourselves use those facilities as we had to go that way for treatment of ourselves or somebody else. Well, you know, when I talk about practicing stewardship, you've got no better example than this gentleman I'm about to recognize. Dean Egler, would you please stand? Ladies and gentlemen, for 13 years, this gentleman has filled a van or two with students from Northern Maine Community College to arrive and jump in the icy waters of Quoddy Bay, and you have contributed tens of thousands of dollars through your efforts. And ladies and gentlemen, he jumps and dips every year. Thank you, Dean Egler, for that example of leadership. As a matter of fact, every year he sees me, he says, President Cassidy, you dipping? And I said, no. Like a good athlete, I know when I'm top of my game, I retired and I'm now a coach. Here's now what I ask you, and I mean this sincerely, in the simplest of ways. Even if it's not part of your personality, work every day to become a better person. Speak to heal, not hate. Surround yourself with positive and happy people. For if you do, you will find your life will also be equally happy and far more pleasurable. Simple things. Smile as you approach a stranger and wish them good day. Extend your hand in friendship to a friend and give them a warm welcome when they approach you. Hug those near and dear to you, and don't be ashamed to. My son at 38 years old, I don't care if I haven't seen him in 3 days. If he runs into me, and regardless of the form, he'll walk up and give me a hug. He's broken 3 ribs doing it, but I hope he never stops. He's not ashamed to hug his dad, nor am I ashamed to hug him. I'd hug President Crowley, but I'm afraid he'd hurt me. Also, too, reach down and pat that old dog that wags its tail when you walk by. Again, you will find the warmth in your heart you will receive multifold. Finally, I'm getting there. Celebrate and share this accomplishment with your family and friends. Do whatever you can again to thank them for what they've done for you. Do whatever you can to encourage others to do it. And for me, I mean it from the bottom of my heart, truly an honor to be invited back to my alma mater, to recognize and honor you, and to be a small part of that. I cherish this day greatly, and I hope you understand I mean that sincerely. Also, too, there's an old Irish saying, there are no strangers, just friends I haven't met. As I look around the auditorium today, I think I made about 1,000 new friends. May the wind be at your back, and the wind fill your mainsail as you pursue new horizons in your life's journey. Good luck and Godspeed. Thank you.